In the tapestry of global finance, Vanguard emerges as a towering titan. With its monumental assets of approximately $7.7 trillion and a stratospheric rise of over 770% in assets under management since 2009, Vanguard has emerged as a seismic force that shapes markets, influences corporations, and potentially bends even political narratives to its will. However, beneath this veneer of unassailable power lies a complex tapestry of concerns that are increasingly challenging Vanguard's ascendancy. The company grapples with numerous issues, from questions about its grip on voting rights to the intricacies of its environmental, social, and governance stance. Is Vanguard's apparent decline an inevitable consequence of its unchecked growth, or does it signify a profound shift in the balance of financial power? Hi, you've reached Finance Sense, the place where we discuss all the most recent trends in the financial markets and the economy. But before we get started, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button. Now, without further ado, let's head on to the video. Vanguard stands as a prominent global asset management company, overseeing approximately $7.7 trillion in total worldwide assets and providing guidance to more than 13 million individual investors on a global scale. Although they slightly lag behind their primary rival BlackRock, both companies exhibit numerous similarities regarding their impact on the globe. This influence emanates from their capacity to shape the economy through their extensive reservoirs of investor funds, as well as their involvement in propagating any malevolent political objectives into the realm of corporations and beyond. Vanguard currently holds the position of being the leading provider of mutual funds and maintains the second largest spot as a provider of exchange-traded funds on a global scale. Whenever they venture into a fresh market, their competitors experience a decline in their profit margins and witness a substantial increase in outflows. This phenomenon is recognized as the Vanguard effect. This impact encompasses their capacity to prompt other funds to reduce their fees to remain competitive, resulting in significant losses of around $200 billion for Vanguard's competitors in terms of active fund fees in recent years. Furthermore, Vanguard has managed to save its own investors more than $175 billion in management fees and an additional $140 billion in cost savings associated with trading since its inception 5 decades ago. Overall, Vanguard has compelled expenses to decrease across the entire industry, leading to its rivals losing an estimated $1.3 trillion in revenue. Therefore, the reasons behind Vanguard's dominance are relatively clear. They have strategically undercut their rivals, positioning themselves as favored entities of the ruling elite, much like BlackRock. This approach has facilitated their expansion and power within the corporate realm. As a mutual entity, Vanguard provides significant ownership control to those holding substantial stakes in the company, thereby determining its trajectory. The influence of these stakeholders carries considerable weight, and their decisions have a cascading effect on a global scale. By enacting changes within its own organization, Vanguard can effectively steer the direction of the corporate world, and consequently exert authority over the businesses it oversees. You've likely encountered numerous figures in the mainstream media swiftly coming to the defense of entities like BlackRock and their network of companies, dismissing these concerns as mere conspiracy theories. Vanguard commands astonishing levels of authority and exhibits a readiness to wield it. However, the question remains, does Vanguard truly possess global ownership? The answer is no. While they are registered as substantial stakeholders in virtually every publicly traded enterprise, they don't outright own these shares. Instead, they serve as custodians for these shares on behalf of their clients. This approach eliminates the need for individuals to personally manage their shares, offering the convenience of utilizing Vanguard's user-friendly software and interface for smoother operations overall. However, the situation takes a darker turn, as Vanguard essentially operates under the facade of owning these shares. When they act as custodians for your shares, Vanguard gains control over your voting rights, allowing them to exercise these rights whenever and wherever it suits them. This means that if Vanguard supports an environmental, social, and governance stance while you hold a different viewpoint, they will vote against your preferences, favoring their own interests regardless. The implications extend beyond this. Consider that Vanguard can also leverage the potential of using these shares' voting power as leverage, particularly when they hold a significant 15% of all voting rights for a massive corporation valued at $100 billion. Vanguard can readily engage with top-level executives and dictate the course of action by reaching out to those who make the final decisions. Given that a substantial portion of shareholders rarely exercise their voting rights, Vanguard's 15% of voting power can easily translate into a practical majority in voting matters. Even if an outright majority isn't feasible, Vanguard can sway just a couple of investors to align with their perspective, thereby achieving their desired outcomes. In this regard, instances have surfaced where an unexpected change of heart in an investor's voting intention is promptly followed by lavish perks, such as exclusive access to private jets, luxurious yachts, and substantial amounts of cash-filled duffel bags. Yet the intricacies don't stop there. Vanguard's influence extends to the appointment of board members within the companies under their control. Consequently, they effectively position their own representatives within these organizations, granting them direct authority over the decision-making process. Curiously, Vanguard doesn't technically possess ownership of any actual shares. In principle, they should lack the capability to exert any influence over these enterprises. However, they wield extraordinary control, effectively molding the landscape of the corporate world, hand in hand with BlackRock. This presents a disheartening reality regarding investing in major corporations today. Frequently, their aim of enhancing shareholder value is overshadowed by the true goal of enriching entities like Vanguard and BlackRock, both of which can be seen as malevolent corporate giants. What sets Vanguard's rapid growth apart, especially since the financial crisis, is a puzzle many are trying to piece together. This is the only firm that has managed to achieve such swift expansion. Since 2009, Vanguard's asset base has surged by a staggering $6.7 trillion, catapulting from a starting point of $1 trillion in assets under management. This reflects an astonishing growth of over 770% in that time frame. This growth rate outpaces even BlackRock, which has increased by 257% during the same duration, roughly a third of Vanguard's growth. If these growth trajectories persist, Vanguard could potentially surpass BlackRock in size within the current decade. However, beneath the surface, not everything seems to run seamlessly for Vanguard. The company grapples with various issues openly acknowledged in the public domain. These challenges indicate that Vanguard might not be as stable as they project themselves to be. As recently as May 16, 2023, a notably successful patent class that contributed to clients achieving over $100 billion in additional investment gains ended. This event marks the conclusion of a 2-decade span during which rival fund managers were restricted from replicating Vanguard's distinctive fund structure without seeking Vanguard's permission. Notably, Vanguard has also become a target due to its control practices. The firm faces a dual-fronted challenge to its environmental, social, and governance policy as global awareness grows regarding the questionable nature of this approach. Vanguard's ESG stance is subject to criticism from two directions. On the one hand, those advocating this agenda attack Vanguard for falling short in its commitment. According to Morningstar's research, Vanguard endorsed only 28% of critical ESG resolutions, significantly less than its two primary competitors, BlackRock and State Street. More disconcertingly for Vanguard, the resolutions they voted against often pertain to matters of civil rights, racial equity, and environmental issues. This has placed Vanguard in intense scrutiny and criticism from the left, as they find themselves now targeted by the same group that once embraced them. In the realm of financial engagement, Vanguard currently retains a substantial stake of at least $86 billion in the coal industry, solidifying its position as the top investor in this sector globally. Additionally, their equity holdings for oil companies amount to well over $10 billion, many of which are involved in the degradation of the Amazon rainforest. This sum does not account for their substantial fossil fuel equity investments elsewhere, extending into the hundreds of billions. The narrative has dramatically shifted for those who once supported environmental, social, and governance initiatives. Evidently, these initiatives were never genuinely focused on the environment. Consequently, individuals who once held strong convictions about this issue now find themselves staunch opponents of Vanguard. Simultaneously, Vanguard has been the target of the anti-ESG movement in both the United States and across the globe. As the realization dawned that ESG was essentially a facade, some individuals directed their anger toward the fact that it wasn't truly about bettering the world and safeguarding the environment. Others were enraged by the revelation that ESG was manipulated to exert control over people and needlessly increase energy costs for millions. In essence, ESG emerged as a colossal financial scheme facilitated by the world's largest corporations, including Vanguard, and seemingly endorsed by corrupt politicians influenced by financial incentives. Additionally, legal experts and politicians are now recognizing that Vanguard's efforts to address climate change could, in reality, be deemed illegal and in violation of America's antitrust laws. This revelation underscores that these initiatives were not only morally questionable, but also potentially unlawful. Vanguard faces challenges from multiple fronts within the establishment and grassroots movements. An increasing number of journalists are shedding light on the truth about Vanguard, immune to the potential influence that may sway corrupt politicians. Furthermore, Vanguard finds itself in a situation where neutrality is no longer an option. The company will inevitably have to take a decisive stance. Whichever path they choose, they are likely to encounter significant repercussions. It's feasible that a portion of their clientele may choose to withdraw, similar to the scenario faced by BlackRock when Republican state treasurers pulled $3 billion from their funds due to concerns over ESG compliance. These setbacks for Vanguard could be seen as a form of karmic balance, particularly considering the company's history of utilizing tax avoidance strategies and practices that may not be deemed competitively fair. Thank you for watching this far. Please leave a like, subscribe to help us expand our future audience, and comment down your thoughts in the comment section. This is Finance Sense, helping you keep up with all the latest trends in the financial markets and the economy. Stay safe and look out for the next video.